All right, welcome into the Newport This Week video podcast. I'm Bill Bartholomew. Remember, you can find every episode of this show at newportthisweek.com and go ahead and subscribe to the Newport This Week YouTube channel where you'll find not only this show, but a lot of other great content, Aquidneck Island centric. And today, a conversation that has federal and local implications, that's for sure. And also, a long-standing and important resource in our community, literally the Women's Resource Center. Jess, I guess the first thing to do is if you want to introduce yourself to anybody who may not know who you are.
Sure. Jessica Walsh, I'm the executive director of the Women's Resource Center. I've been with the organization for over 20 years. I've been the executive director for a little over 5, and we are the only domestic violence service agency serving Aquidneck Island and the East Bay. So we provide a whole plethora of services for folks who are experiencing domestic violence and their families.
Such an obvious and essential service here. And let's just get this kind of, I don't want to say out of the way, but let's talk about the article, John Pantalone's article in Newport This Week. Federal budget cuts jeopardize local programs. That's inclusive of yours. Give us just sort of the executive summary of where we are at right now in the federal funding context before we move on to events and some of the successes that really, should outshine any negativity. But the reality is, let's address this right up front. What's happening?
Sure. So the context for us is that 80% of our annual budget is coming from federal or state sources. So the rate that translates into about $1.6 million of our annual budget coming from those sources, maybe a little bit more than that. And so we are currently facing the biggest issue is extreme uncertainty. So we, for example, one of our state funders can only reimburse on a 7-day, they can only guarantee reimbursement on a 7-day rolling basis, which means we have to ask them for money every 7 days, like things that typically it's monthly. We have a grant program. The entire department at the branch of the CDC was eliminated that administers the program. Now we haven't gotten a funding cut, but we assume that eventually there's nobody there to run the program. So it's definitely a very challenging and stressful time for us. The balance of that is that our services are very much needed. The need is not going down in the community, and we want to be able to continue to provide those services in our community. We're really concerned about the Office of Violence Against Women, which is a primary funder for us. All of their funding solicitations are down off the website, so we just can't even apply for anything if we wanted to. And we have a renewal this year for our transitional housing program, which is truly a transformational program for the folks who need that kind of support. And 5 apartments are funded through that program, and we're not sure what we're going to do to maintain those apartments if we can't apply for renewal of that grant. So that's the kind of stuff we're navigating, and I can tell you it just changes every day. Like you just show up every day and wonder what news you're going to get. And it's so we are just taking it one day at a time and doing the best we can to be responsive and navigate.
The uncertainty is so critical in this moment. I mean, it applies economically, it applies in every aspect of what we're dealing with here in this country right now and on a global basis. So we'll leave it there. Let's hope that tomorrow the uncertainty swings back towards where programs such as yours are adequately and beyond adequately funded. We know for sure that during COVID, there was an increase in violence, domestic violence writ large. Where are we right now? You mentioned that obviously there's a need. We know that. Where do we sit as we see cuts from a federal funding standpoint that jeopardize programs? How does that compare to us over the last few years in terms of what we're trending numbers wise?
So, unfortunately, Rhode Island, 1 in 2 individuals will experience domestic violence in a lifetime. It's an extremely high number. And that's an increase from it was 1 in 3, and then new data came out and it was 1 in 2. And so I think we are definitely, our experience is that the need it heightened in COVID and hasn't really gone back down. So we're at what is kind of the new normal of need in the community. And so in times of economic um, stressors, we do tend to see an increase in need. We aren't seeing it yet, but like the uncertainty at the federal level and in the economy really is, something that we're watching and a little bit concerned about. But we haven't seen any big shifts in need just yet. We serve about 1,100 victims of domestic violence in our community annually, and we'll be watching that number as we navigate the uncertainty, and the economic situation is going to be something that we have to pay attention to.
What's give us some in this moment of we were talking offline about doom and gloom. What are some of
Yeah.
and now here we are, we're 5 minutes into this thing and it's somewhat depressing. So let's turn it around.
Yeah.
Give us some success stories that you can share with us if you feel so inclined.
Yeah, so I think so one thing that we are super excited about is we've recently been able to make our shelter pet friendly. So we co-house pets and people in our shelter and in our transitional housing program. And this may seem maybe not super important, but for some folks, leaving their pets behind is a big barrier to leaving. They will not leave the abusive situation if they have to leave their pets. And so we're the only pet-friendly shelter that co-shelters pets and people in the state. So we're super excited about that. And we have a great partnership with the Potter League. Listeners will be aware of the Potter League. They really help us with the pets, and we and allow us and support us in really having those pets in our shelter. So we're super excited about that. We're collaborating with them on a screening of a film that we created last year at the Potter League at the end of this month. So that will be exciting. We really have every day there are small successes with our clients, right? Like people who reach out and say like they finally got permanent housing and that's really exciting for them, or they have been able to finish an educational program that will allow them to be more financially independent. And our staff are in court every day trying to help people get protective orders that will help them feel safe, and to be able to move through the community with that protection. And so, we are truly honored to be part of all these survivor stories. Like we're just a small part of their journey to healing, and really want to continue to be here to provide those supports that help people achieve safety.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, it's again, we can say it a million times. It can't be said enough. The work you're doing is thankless, essential, and beyond at the core values of what a utopian society would want to have. So, of course, actually, a utopian society, this need wouldn't be there, but a realistic
Right.
utopian society, sadly, it requires this. Let's talk about your upcoming Vineyard Soiree Spring Fundraiser. The ticket link is in this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click on it. This is coming up on April 24th over at Newport Vineyards. Give us the rundown on that and what can people expect if they purchase the ticket.
Yeah, we would love folks to join us. It's a pretty low-key event, and we really want people to feel welcome to come out and join us. It's from 5:30 to 7:30 next Thursday, April 24th. We will be there. Lois Vaughn, who many locals will know, will be providing the music. We'll have a small silent auction of experiences local to Quinnipiac Island in the East Bay. And really, it's just a time to come out and show your support for the Women's Resource Center. The urgency of our fundraising has just ramped up, right? We really need our community right now to come out and show that they're going to be there for us as we navigate this uncertainty. And it will be fun. So people should come on out and join. And the tickets are $65, and there's a link, as you mentioned. So you can click that link and come join us.
And in terms of just in general, are you looking for on any kind of recurring basis, volunteers, people who can phone bank, anything like this? What can people do that are hearing this right now? They might not be available or able to attend the event for any reason. How can people support the work you're doing?
Yeah, so we'll also make sure you have a link for just general donations. So you don't need to attend an event to support us financially. There's also a link that I will provide for volunteers that are interested in supporting us. And we are looking for board members. So there's many opportunities depending on what folks are interested in doing that we really try to leverage folks' skills and their commitment to our work. So definitely fill out there's a volunteer interest form. I'll make sure you have the link and people can reach out in that way and let us know how they want to help.
Jessica Walsh, Women's Resource Center, thanks so much for your time, but more importantly, thanks for the work that you do every day.
Thanks so much, Bill. Have a great day.